Hello, hello, hello. Hi, this is Avery Pink-Lewin here. Welcome to the first Launch Talk Cafe of 2024. It's been a minute since I've done this, so I'm just kind of making sure my tech is okay. And I am truly excited to be starting up this segment again. I just, I'm just get on in here because I got about 15 minutes to get this done. And my goal here is to get back into the swing of things. I'm starting here on YouTube. I've posted on YouTube every once in a while, but I'm really trying to be a little bit more consistent on YouTube. So if you're coming across me for the first time, come on, have a seat, pop a squat. And if I say anything that resonates with you, go ahead and subscribe. And but today we're going to talk about flipping the script on frustration. Okay, Launch Talk Cafe is really all about different topics related to launching your business or career, getting it off the ground, and really trying to the goal is to accelerate the point of beginning and starting to the point of accomplishing the milestones that you have identified, or even if you haven't identified, being able to really breeze through some of these milestones. And the reason why I like the acceleration model is because in my career, I accelerated. I did what people take 30 years to do. I did it in 8. In my business, though the time period was not, it wasn't a short time period. With every piece of my journey, I accelerated through the lessons that I had to learn. And that point of acceleration is where you're able to, for me, it's what fuels me to keep going. It fuels me to go, beyond, because what happens when you accomplish a goal? You just got to get to the next goal, right? You establish a bigger, better, bolder goal, and you run towards that. So it's been very beneficial to me when I think about acceleration. I'm not thinking about doing things quicker and like being sloppy, but I'm definitely all about really being 100% present and focused in the moment of what we're doing, so that the opportunities, one of the things that I believe challenges people a lot is life presents opportunities all over the place. The problem is, oh, wait a minute, I wanted to start wisdom. So let me go ahead and do that. See, I had planned to start wisdom so I can, multitask and get this thing done. Hi, wisdom, those of you who jump on in, and those of you listening on the replay, hello, hello, hello. So getting right into it, life presents opportunities all the time. I think most people just have challenges being able to recognize what opportunity is in front of them. That's the first thing that people have challenges with. But the second thing that people have challenges with is actually creating an opportunity. And you can't create one if you don't even recognize when they're there. Like, you just gotta, that when they say seize the moment, you gotta be quick on your feet to seize the moment. And when you're, from my point of, my walk, understanding acceleration happens because you seize opportunity, you create opportunity, you crush the opportunity, and another one opens up, and you keep doing that. So inevitably, what's going to happen is you're going to accelerate in ways that you can't possibly plan, because many of these factors are beyond your control. But what is in your control is the fact that, you know what? I want to get this certain thing done. I need to get this certain thing done. I believe I'm supposed to be at a certain level, and all of your actions lining up to that belief, it will help you to accelerate. And I'll share more. I have shared a lot on social media over the years about it, but I'll share more on this year, 2024, Launch Talk Cafe. But right now, let's get into flipping the script on frustration. And I wanted to start here because again, mainly who I'm addressing are individuals who are right now kind of sitting on the sidelines. You're seeing all these people starting businesses. You're seeing people running and gunning for their goals and their dreams and the things that they think they want to do. Because the reason why I say think they want to do is sometimes it looks real glitzy and glamoury on the outside, but once you get in the box, you're like, this ain't for me. So, but they look like they're gunning for their dreams and the things that they want to accomplish in life, and you're kind of on the sidelines for whatever reason, whether you're kind of procrastinating, whether it is that you're unsure of where to start, whether it is you're just kind of unsure of whether or not you can do it, whether it is that you're plumb scared, perhaps, it doesn't really matter what the reason is. You're at the point where you're like, I think I want to do this thing. I want to do this thing. And a point of contention and a place of frustration is I just don't even know where to start. And everybody starts in that place. Nobody knows exactly where to go, exactly what to do. There is no quote unquote right way to do something, but I will tell you there is definitely a wrong way. And that wrong way is not getting it done at all. Like sitting on the sideline, like staying on the sideline, right? That's the wrong way. I say that there's no clear right way. And I know there's a lot of people online who's like, you know what? I got the perfect this. I got the right this. I got the formula, the framework, the this, the that. I'm one of them. But it's not a perfect one. Certainly something that is based on my own experience and my walk and what I've done. Those factors that were surrounding was very specific to me. So there's no way that I can say that that's going to be perfect for you. However, I understand that you can apply lessons from what I've done over the years. You can apply lessons from the things that I've, the challenges that I've had, the things that I've overcome, the things that I actually have not overcome, but I've able to find a way around. You can learn from that. So that's where I believe all of these different models and frameworks and things are coming from. But the reality is there's no perfect way and there's no right way. So what do you do when there's no right way? You just got to take a step. One of the that Frozen franchise was, I love those movies, but what I really love is the takeaway message in Frozen 2, where it says, when you don't know what to do, you just kind of do the next right thing. And when I say there's like no right way, but you do the thing that feels right, that is aligned, and it gives you a better outcome in your present scenario. And as you continue to take different steps, the next one does appear, right? You take one step, the next one appears. If you take a step, the ground is hard, put your weight on it, right? Then you put your other foot in front, the ground is hard, you put your weight on that. If you put you go back to the other leg and it's like really soft and shaky, that's the only way you're going to know, hey, don't put my weight on it because I feel like I'm going to fall. So I need to pull back and find another where to put my feet, okay? So you went left, right, left. That left foot got to go somewhere else because where it was going to go was a little bit shaky. I hope you was following. I kind of came out of nowhere with that little analogy, but it's the next right thing. And if you're taking a step, the key is in taking a step, it will uncover the next one, okay? That's how that works. So let's talk a little bit about that frustration. Again, this is Launch Talk Cafe. This is a space where, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Pink-Lewin, and I am the CEO of Empowerment. I'm also the founder and CEO of Career Serve, which is formerly the resume firm. I have been in businesses of my own since 2001. I believe I had one of the first eBay accounts, and I've been selling online since 2001, making money online. And things have evolved and continue to evolve. Right now, Empowerment is a consulting firm where I support entrepreneurs and those who have a desire to start a business online, utilizing their expertise and their skills and their experience. I help them do that. The ultimate big vision for my business is not to stay there though. Like I need to, as I'm in my 9-to-5 and I'm learning, there's always a purpose for why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm learning as much as I can because eventually that consulting firm, in my mind, the way I see it, is at some point, it's going to be on the same par as some of the notable greats are today. Because my goal is I'm gunning for corporate contracts. I'm gunning for a lot of all government contracts eventually. There are things that I would like to do down the line, and everything that I do right now is a stone that's being erected in order to support the larger vision. So that's a little bit about me. I love communication. I love messaging. I love strategy. I love planning. I love all things graphic and web design. I mean, I love so many different things. And part of that love, I'm going to share, how all of those things, kind of contributed to my frustration when I was getting started online. So with that said, let me grab my notes, because I tend to, again, I want to get this thing wrapped up by 2:45 my time. So yeah, let's talk about flipping the script on frustration. And the reality is when I say flipping the script on it, let's give it a new purpose. Let's give your frustration another purpose. And the main purpose the frustration is going to have is really helping you to identify where you have a roadblock that you need to pay attention to. It's not for you to sit in the frustration. It's not for you to be like, oh, I'm so frustrated, I don't know what to do. And it basically it stops you from moving forward. It gets you in a place of just, irritation, or the worst thing it can do is cause you to stop and turn around and decide this is not for me. The whole goal we're going to give this frustration is it is a marker. It's something of a red flag to say, hey, I'm frustrated. Here's what I need. This is something I need to look a little bit closer at and find a solution to this frustration. Find a solution to this frustration, not let the frustration beat me. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So again, so here's some of the things that cause frustration when you're just starting. And this is going to be a part of a series. Again, I only have a couple minutes to share this with you, so I'll continue tomorrow. And we'll continue to unpack some of these things that are extremely frustrating as you think about starting your business, getting started in business. And for me, even if you started within the last, if your business is less than 5 years old, you're still in the beginning stages. You're still learning a lot. You haven't put a lot of pieces in there so that your business is self-functioning. So these are still very critical and very relatable points of frustration. So the number one thing I knew I had to start with was lack of clarity. Lack of clarity, okay? When you're getting started, you just don't know what you don't know. Point blank, when you're walking through life, you just don't know what you don't know. The reality is, though, is that this is 2024, and there are too many resources out there for you to not know some things, right? There are certain things you just can't be okay with not knowing, right? Like there's YouTube University, there's Google University, there's, people handing out free webinars every other day. Now, I do say to be careful of how you employ some of these different tactics to learn what you need to learn and to know what you need to know, because the reality is that there's so many different pathways to get to your end result that just the sheer volume of possible options, that alone can cause you to be frustrated. But the point is that where we are right now, there's so much information out there. Like, we don't have an issue with information and access anymore. The information is out there. So when you don't know, if you just don't know something, I'm careful when I say this, because it's because either you just haven't really looked for the information, or you just got frustrated in looking and decided, you know what, I don't even want to be bothered. It's too much and I can't. And it just overwhelmed you. But being in this place of lack of clarity, I'm gonna focus it in on, because I believe from, hundreds of clients that I've worked with and many, many people that I've done business with over the years, folks are really unclear as to what they want to do in their business initially. And I think the biggest problem with that is we tend to say, oh, I like this and I like that, and I can do this and I can do that. So I don't have to decide which way yet, or you can just be the Jack or Jill of all trades. And that was where I started. I was like, well, I could do a ton of things. Like there was no rhyme or reason I did something for business when I first started. Like I said, I was on eBay and I was selling stuff online, but I was also making Facebook, not Facebook, MySpace profiles. I was doing websites. I was doing graphics and flyers. And I was helping people to do their resume. That came a little bit longer, the resume thing, once I graduated from undergrad. But everything else before the resume stuff, I was doing all as a college student. So it was almost like if somebody needed something, they were like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, well, yeah, I can do that. So let me do it. And you pay me something. And there was like no rhyme or reason. And that worked as a college student because, you know, I wasn't setting up a business. I didn't do anything formal. And people just kind of knocked me on the side, or they saw whatever I did for somebody, like a flyer for the sorority or something for one of the student organizations, definitely something for my church. And they're like, hey, can you do one for me? Sure. And you pay me. Now, again, that worked for a little bit, but once I tried to transition online, that Jill of all trades mentality made me look like I was all over the place. And I was like, it was, you know, the picture of the person who's like, I own a dry cleaner, but you're selling like magazines and doing hair in the back. I mean, you're just doing all that stuff, which by the way, I did do hair as well. I was braiding hair through college and getting paid for it. So there was this all kinds of things, you know, people just knew me as, look, if you need something done, maybe check with Avery. And while that served the intention, like I always had something that I was doing and getting paid for, that did not translate when I wanted to establish a business presence online. Because then I'm like talking about all these different things and people would see my posts, and then someone who was looking for like a website would come and they'll see my post with the latest braids and hairstyles that I did, or they'll see a post about something that I flipped online and made some money on eBay. And I'm trying to talk about all the amazing stuff that happens when you find stuff and flip it and sell it on eBay for a profit. It was just all over the place. It was all over the place. And I didn't see a problem with that. I did not see a problem with it until maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Now, remind you, I said I've been online selling and making money since 2001. But I didn't see a problem with that until probably the last 5 or 6 years or so. Definitely not on Periscope, because I was on Periscope. And again, I'm talking about all these different things. And what I did notice was people would come into the Periscope and they would pick up from where they last left off with me, but I was just talking on what I wanted to talk about for that day. And it confused the heck out of them. And my numbers would decrease as soon as I started talking about something, or people would stay on and be like, hey, what about, you know, I did a whole series about, you know, what you need to look for working with a web designer, and people loved it. I mean, they loved it because they never know what they need to ask for. And people can got real quick online working with all these random web people. And then I moved on, you know, I kind of moved on to the next thing in my life. And it was just like, hey, but what about this? And what about that? And I'm like, yeah, I can answer that. So I'll go back to answering. But all the people I had built up, I'm like losing again. And it's just like, oh my gosh. And then I began to feel all over the place. Like it was when I began to feel all over the place. And it was me reacting to the fact that there was no consistency across the people that I was pulling in. And then I remember the first time I did a beta for my Launch Out Loud 6-week course. I was excited about doing this. Uh-oh.
To their energy, their mood, their ability, their weight maintenance. And if we eat for this and we look after this cycle, it can just be transformative for women.
Man, I made a mistake on my phone rang. I should have put it on airplane mode, and Wisdom got jacked up. So I'll have to edit that out. But I remember the first time I did that beta, and it was pretty successful because, you know, my coach at the time was like, hey, you probably anticipate getting, you know, 1 or 2, maybe 3 people. I had priced it at $497 for the 6 weeks. You know, fully transparent. And I ended up pulling about 7 people, which I thought was like, oh my gosh, you know, do the math, 7 times 5. And I'm like, what? It's crazy. Because at that point, up until then, I hadn't had that much come in at once. It was always a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. And the reason why is because it was this coming from a this, and this coming from a flyer, and this coming from a website, and this coming from that. And my websites back in the day, they were dope enough to keep a steady income of people, a steady flow of people coming and asking. But it was also because they were dirt cheap. Like I undervalued my services, all of that. So I have lessons upon lessons to share in that area. But neither way, I digress. So when I got people into this beta, I realized how schizophrenic my messaging was, because I got someone who had a business who was looking to do something for like their 40th year celebration, and they wanted to do something new to revive the brand of their 40-year-old company. I got someone who was starting from scratch and had no idea what they wanted to do. I got someone who was new and who had an idea but had not started business. I got somebody who was, who had already started and was looking for tips on how to tighten up. I mean, the people were in those 7 people were across the gamut. And it was the hardest thing trying to serve them, not because I couldn't do what they needed, but it was a group program and everybody, and I mean, it showed me, one, the importance of the messaging that I was used, and how me being all over the place, I picked up people every place that I went, because I was all over the place. I picked up somebody from all the places that I was. That's not necessarily a great thing. You know what I mean? And so when you're not clear on what you're doing, it ends up being, the money was just, it just became a headache. And that happened once I learned that lesson. I didn't necessarily know what to attribute it to after. So I just kept doing what I was doing. And I was successful at pulling people into not just the beta, but then actually the official launch, and people paid for the full price. But it was just like, oh my gosh, why are you here? Like, why? And I'm like in my mind, right, asking them, well, why did you sign up for this thing? Why are you here? And it dawned on me after like the 4th or 5th time that I was not clear on what I wanted to do and who this program was for. I was just telling people what they'll get, but I wasn't properly positioning it right so that I pull the people that I needed, and there was synergy amongst where they were. When you're unclear, right? And the reason why I even went down that rabbit hole of that story was because of the jack of all trades. I'm a Jill of all trades. I know how to do 50 million things, right? And I have embraced it in my messaging, but it's more strategic now. Before, I was just all over the place. I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. A lot of my people come and they're like, I can do this and I can do that and I can do this and I can do that. That's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. And I'm here to save you some of the frustration by not having that more clearly defined as to what it is that you are looking to accomplish in your business endeavor. Once you launch, when you get online, okay, because remember, everything you do online lives for somebody to come behind you. It's not just in that moment when you're interacting and people follow you from moment to moment. You're leaving breadcrumbs, and the breadcrumbs that you're leaving helps people to make a decision as to whether or not you are the person that they need to work with for this moment in time. So where I had the moment in time where I was talking about was on my end. So in the moment, I was talking about developing websites. And then the next moment, I was talking about selling on eBay. And then the next moment, I was talking about graphic design and logo development. And the next moment, I was talking about careers and resumes. And I was at the snapshot in time. That was backwards. As the business owner, I need to hold that segment of time, and the people come to me for the service that I was providing at their snapshot in time. So when they needed a website, that's when they would find me. That's when they would go looking for somebody to do a website, ergo they would find me. When they needed a resume or some type of a career development thing, it's not my job to say I'm going to do all things and be all things to all people. That's not going to help. And it wasn't until I really started doing more websites that it was just like, wow, I started to see, it was a mirror for me, and I started to see myself, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is bananas. I can't believe I was doing this. And because I could see it so clearly, I was able to really, my goal was to influence my customers and clients to not do the same. And some of them got it. Those who did get it had better results. Some who kind of just was like, look, I don't even care. Just do what you got to do. I want everybody to know everything that I can do. Then, they're still splitting. Sometimes they let their small fish eat their big fish, because they're not being strategic about, even if you want to do all the things, you got to be strategic about how you do it. Like right now, I still do all the things. I just am very strategic in how I do it. And it serves me better. So on LinkedIn, that's where I talk primarily about websites and careers and development and all of that stuff. On Facebook, I don't really market on Facebook, but it's all my family and friends and stuff like that. And they know I do 50 million gajillion things. So they kind of get it. But even though I still kind of not do it because it's still a breadcrumb. On Instagram is very specific. On YouTube, I'm here, I'm getting my feet, I'm finding my legs here. So, but likely it's going to be the same. I'm still probably going to talk a little bit more about launching in your business and really establishing your brand. And that's really where I think I want to stay here on YouTube. So it's very intentional decision making that has to be done. And when you're just getting started, you don't really have the parameters for what you're making these decisions that you're making. And that's okay. It's not okay to stay there, but it's okay that you are there, right? Again, that's another piece of when I said there's no really right way to do it. I think what you want to do is connect with people and communities so that you can evaluate for yourself how things have been done and then make a decision on this kind of aligns to what I was thinking. But at the end of the day, you have to be thinking something. And sometimes it's because of insecurity where you don't realize that you are thinking about it. And many of my customers and my clients, they all have very specific thoughts. What they need is someone to reinforce that. So when we sit together and I'm like, what are your thoughts on this? They can go through. I mean, there are people who are like, I really don't know. I have no idea, blah, 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 blah. But then I just reframe the question in a different way and it just starts flowing for them. It starts flowing for them. And I'm like, good. You see all of that? I need you, all of this plethora of stuff. I need you to pick a route. I need you to pick a route and we're going to explore this route. And that's what we're going to do, And so the goal is really to get clarity around what it is that you want to do in business. And the answer is absolutely not everything. Okay. And the reason why is because this internet is way loud nowadays. You do not want to try to be the little fish in the big pond. You definitely want to be the only fish, right? Not the only fish. You want to be the shark in the pond where all these other little fish are, right? You want to find the little fish in the pond and you be that shark, right? You want to not, don't insist on being in this larger, well-established ocean. Carve out your own way. And people are like, oh, who am I? Da, 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 da. Your people will find you. Period, point blank, the end. Your people will find you. That's like the least of your concern. But anyway, let's talk about the other piece about clarity. Now, this used to grind my gears when I first started. And then now I talk about these things from my own experience because I know we're all creatures of habit. We're more similar. Chances are that this is going to resonate with you if this is where you're feeling because I cracked it. I figured it out. And I want to be able to share with you. But, people who are like, oh, you got to know your audience, know your target audience. You got to da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, I'm just getting started. How do I know? That's another point of frustration. The reality is when you're getting started, there is no know your audience. You don't have an audience. You don't have an audience, okay? What you try to do is you want to find the conversations that are happening online and engage in the conversations that are aligned with what you want to do. Then, because you're now a voice speaking in the conversation and you are some of us, I don't believe in watering down the term expert, but because you have a knowledge base, some experience or some actual specific thoughts based upon something other than like your own like, I don't know, your own whatever, because you have something that you're bringing to the table and to be a thought leader, that becomes a conversation. Your voice now carries a different weight. When your voice carries weight in a conversation, the people's neck begin to turn towards you, right? Because other than that, you're just white noise, white noise, white noise. We don't hear white noise. It all sounds the same. Like, the adults on the Peanuts, womp, 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 womp. We didn't hear words. the cartoon heard the words, they knew what they were saying, but we didn't, right? When you become a voice in the conversation that actually aligns to what it is that you want to do and be known for and be a thought leader about, the words that are coming out of your mouth become more clear. They carry a certain weight and people's neck begins to turn towards you. Then you have the ability to influence the dialogue. You're influencing the dialogue, not people. Because now the dialogue becomes around your area of experience, your expertise, and why it is the way it is. And you are now influencing how that dialogue goes. And people who want to hear your take, that becomes your audience. You see how that works? So there's like, know your audience. You ain't got no audience in the beginning. Now you can borrow someone else's audience. Yes, you can do that. You can curate an audience based on other people's. Yes, you can do that. But the reality is you want to, the quickest way for you to establish yourself online is to shorten the time from when you get online and you play around with the, the memes and the quotes and the this and the that. You don't want to do all of that. I need you, and this is what I do for my people. I try to get them in front of people and, speaking, and not speaking like from the stage or speaking as a speaker. I'm talking about putting your thoughts, your ideas, your knowledge into the online space so that the people who will resonate, that you're giving people something to resonate with. Okay. That is what I'm talking about. So when you say, I have, who's my target audience? And you go down this whole rabbit hole of trying to figure that out, I say squash that. I really do. It's a little bit different. No. It's a lot different than what most people are going to tell you. They're going to tell you to do a lot of these exercises. And yes, it's important for you to have a ballpark. Like when I say that, I mean, you want to talk to men or women, like some easy stuff, right? I'm not talking about, we're not solving world peace or world hunger. We're trying to identify where you're playing, what sandbox you're going to play in, right? And those are just some very quick and dirty things. And the reason why you want to do that is not because that's who you necessarily want to buy, but that's going to frame the reference and the narrative onto how you talk about your topic. It's going to give the people something that's relatable. And, so that's what I mean by, that's another point of frustration. People are like, well, I don't know my audience. You ain't got no audience. I need you to be okay and take a breath and woosah that you have no audience. Nobody knows who you are. You don't even know who you are. So let's not go down that road. Let's talk about what you want to do. Let's talk about how you want to do it. And then let's get out there and engage in those conversations that are happening so that you can begin to flex your expertise a little bit. You know what I mean? So people can get in there with you. That's what we're trying to do first. Period. It's not the most sophisticated thing, but it does work. It does work to help you build an audience. It helps you build. Now, there's all the other things that people talk about building, but that just comes with discipline, like consistency. Your girl right here has always struggled with that. But again, glory be to God, I've not had a problem pulling people because of association. People are like, hey, I got somebody for you. And when people recommend me, I mean, people just go with me, not to do my own home, but that's been a blessing and a vice, because as you can look at my social media profiles, I mean, I'm not bad. I got like 6,000 on Facebook and over, definitely over 1,000, I believe, on Instagram. And I mean, it's crickets over here on YouTube, but that's because I'm just getting started. You'll see. But yeah, so those are the things that I need you to try to think about as you're realizing, hey, I don't really have an audience. I need to find my audience. Let's take a step back from finding your audience. Now, trust me, I'm a messaging person. I'm a communication strategist and I'm a messaging strategist. The time will come for you to really dissect this audience thing, but it's not there in the beginning. And the reason why it's not there in the beginning is because you don't really have other key decisions made. And until you can make those key decisions, the audience, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to serve them well if those other key business decisions are not made. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So So let's flip the script on that frustration and be like, hey, I ain't even got no audience, and that's cute and that's fine. It's cool. We're not gonna worry about it. Now, if we're 5 years into the game and we still don't have no audience, that's a problem. But if you're just getting started, take the pressure off. Let's not even go there. That'll come. And if you have a coach or a mentor or somebody to guide you through that, that will come. And they'll help you to really refine that, okay? Another thing that is a source of frustration when you're just getting started is the finances about, and it's not, do I have money or don't I? It's, can I really afford the things that I want to? I'm not making any money yet. I haven't sold anything. But there's so many softwares, so many things that I need, so much tech. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yes, that's frustrating as all get up. I have a thought about that. Shameless plug. I created a program for that and it's going into beta. And I'm excited to introduce it. But the reality is it takes money to make money. Now in 2024, it don't take that much money. Okay. There's a lot of free stuff out there. There's a lot of things you have to leverage. When I started online back in 2014, I had 4 MailChimp accounts. And the reason why I have 4 MailChimp accounts is because you could get free up to 2,000. So I created 4. And so now my list can be 8,000. I just had to assume the burden of logging into 4 different accounts, cutting and pasting the different email stuff in order to, and I had to keep up with it. Well, who was on this account? Who was on that? I just had to figure it out. Why? Because I was hooking it and crooking it. That's why. You know what I mean? It's because I didn't want to pay for it because I would have to pay this and then pay that. And now that everything is subscription based, oh my goodness, if you're not careful, you are paying so much because it's $9.99 here. It's $5.99 here. It's $19.90 here. Some of them are really big and ballsy and they're like $200 a month. And I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's a real factor. It's a real factor. You got to deal with it. But the reality is it is frustrating. But again, with a strategy, identifying what you're doing, you don't have to, you could flip the script on that frustration. And honestly, strategy and planning is really going to help you with doing that because you can leverage other things in order to accomplish the same thing that some of these expensive softwares can do, especially in the beginning. Now, I'm telling you, once you start making money, your responsibility is to put something in place that can then service your customers optimally, because customer service and customer experience is going to make or break you as a business. But that shouldn't be your concern right there. I got a couple more minutes. And then the last thing that's a point of frustration is on the heels of that last one, on the heels of financing, is the tech. Now, listen, I'm just going to say it to you. When you're getting started in business, your business is to be so good at the service that you're delivering, the product that you've developed. That is your number 1 priority. Your number 2 priority is being the best cheerleader as the founder and CEO of your company. You are the number 1 cheerleader that's out there bringing people into your business. That's your number 2 priority. We got it twisted up in the streets nowadays. Everyone is chasing all the software, all the tools, all the tech, all of the shiny things. Let me try this. Let me get a bot. AI is a thing. Listen, to everything, there is a time and a season. I'm a woman of faith. I love me some Jesus, and I quote the Bible regularly because it applies in every area of life. To everything, there is a time and a season. In the beginning of an entrepreneur journey, it is not the time for you to get overwhelmed about tech. There's some very basic things you need to have in place. And if you want to get fly in terms of what kind of product and service you're developing, there are some other systems that you can get. It is tying into the last frustration that you can go for free, that you can, I remember when I started my first community, math has always been my favorite subject. And all the math is how many people do I need in order to let this thing function on its own? That's it. It didn't matter. As long as I had this base people, it's going to be paid for. So it don't matter what it costs. But I'm going to bust my butt to make sure that this many people is out there. And it wasn't a lot of money, but all I needed was 4 people. 4. And I had to do the best I could to make sure 4 people at all times was paying for the software. And when I wanted something else added, I needed to add that to the bottom line so I could pay for the rest, right? The problem nowadays with tech is everybody sees the nice new shiny thing. They run for it. They have to learn it. Some of y'all, because I'm very tech savvy. I'm very tech savvy. I mean, period. But some of y'all know that you are technology and you still want to find all the others. You want to go for all the tech because it's shiny and it's new and this person is pubbing it and all of that stuff. And it can do all these amazing things when you just started. You don't even have need for all these amazing things. You don't have the bandwidth for the amazing things. You don't have nobody to man this software. You don't need that. And I'm here to be the voice of reasoning. And again, I'm flipping the script on this frustration for you. So here's what I recommend. I recommend you starting with something low cost or no cost for sure. I recommend that you would like I said, I'm still grandfathered into many of these softwares because I keep making my business to make sure. Like it took forever for Google to get a dime out of me for their Google Suite. It took forever. It took from 2003 until last year for Google to get a dime out of me because I was making sure I was on top of everything to keep that software for free. That's the finance thing. But I was also leveraging that software that's been around forever rather than going towards some of these newer things that, yes, would do it more quickly. Yes, is a little bit more efficient. Yes, is definitely helped me to be more productive, but I was not in a place that I could pay for it. So I had to deal with the realities of my situation. I didn't want to pay for it. I didn't want it to eat into my profit. And it is what it is. Like we have to have those very clear conversations with ourselves and just be like, hey, this is what I want and this is why it makes sense for you. Somebody's going to come along and tell you, you don't need this. I remember I signed up with a coach and she, it was in her mastermind and she was given all the recommendations for this software and I got into the software and yes, part of it was cool. Part of it, I had no clue. But the reality is they were recommending the software because they were affiliates to the software and I'm paying on this software and I'm paying for it for something that one, I couldn't use, one, I hadn't learned. So now as a part of being in this mastermind, instead of learning the information that I need to implement in my business, I now had to stop and learn this software. And I realized, I was like, yeah, this is really the icing on the cake that made me put together the program that I am about to introduce as a beta. But I said, nah, this is wrong. And I don't know how to use this software. And I think I carried it for like 4 or 5 months at $99 a month. And it wasn't until it jumped to $149 because it was a trial. And month 4 was $149. I was like, whoa. I'm not even using it like that. I'm using a fraction of it because it was meant for medium-sized businesses like hers. But I don't have any need for that stuff. But I was paying for it in addition to paying the 4 figures to be in this mastermind per month, right? Not just total 4 figures. It was 5 figures at the end of the day. But I'm just like, hold up, this is something ain't right. And I said, okay, I'm really just trying to get in a position to know what I need to know. And this is just not working. You don't need to be learning all these softwares, okay? I need you to get focused on what you're starting your business for, serving the people who do come into your business, and refining your message so that you're crystal clear so you can then develop your target audience and know who it is that you're going after so that when you start speaking to them, that they realize that you're talking to them and they come and respond according to the way you want them to respond, which is with more sales, a little bit more engagement, to give you more information that'll help you to refine your product. I mean, this is how it works. It's very simple, but it's become very complicated because of just the marketplace nowadays. There's 50 million people with all these different things and people want to show you this and they want to show you that. And I'm among them because I'm about to show you over the next few days, I'm going to be sharing about my new beta. But the reality is you still don't need half of what's out there. You don't. Okay? You just don't. Just like we don't need a gajillion banks, you know, the model of banking hasn't really changed, but we have gajillion banks out there. We don't need all of them, but they're all profitable. They're all out there. So there's a lot of people who are utilizing these things, but it's not to their advantage, especially, let me put the context around it, as you're just now getting started in business. So with 3 minutes to go, 3 minutes left. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my beta. So I have a Launch Accelerator beta coming up, and basically it's get you started in your business online in 30 days for less than $100, okay? That's what it is. We're gonna talk about your strategy, we're gonna talk about your message, we're gonna talk about your offer, and we're gonna talk about your tech. I'm completely about to turn this thing on its head, because I put my money where my mouth is, okay? So my mouth is saying, I'm gonna get you on in 30 days and for under $100. That's what this beta is. I put my money there because I've been doing messaging and strategy and offers and launching, all of that. I've been doing this for years, since 2014. So I know I can help you with that. No, not a problem. The part that I'm actually going to beta is whether or not the technology is the tech part, okay? I've already purchased licenses. I've already purchased software that I'm going to, for beta participants to use at no additional cost, so that you are focused on getting your business, getting started, getting your message, getting your offer together, getting everything out there so that you can start to make money. My goal is to decrease the time from getting launched to making your first sale, to making your first 1,000, to making your first 10K, okay? Now, the 30 days, obviously, I'm not going to even say you're going to get 30 days and 10K. I would never say anything like that. But what I will say is you will get up and running in the 30 days, and you're able to focus on what you as CEO should focus on. The product out there, being the cheerleader, and engaging people with this offer, okay? And that's really it, okay? So if you're interested, go ahead in the comments and just say interested, and I'll put stuff in the description. I'm still getting my feet wet here on YouTube. I gotta sign off. But thank you all for listening. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you as always, and look forward to the next conversation. Bye.